Thank you for tuning into our podcast. We are coming to you from South Hadley, Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining me is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Coon. He offers public and private tours as well as presentations of the local canal systems, cemeteries, reservoirs, and churches, as well as various parks, streets, and houses in Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, as well as Granby, Amherst, and Hadley. So, today we'll be talking about the Holyoke and the American Revolution. So, was Holyoke involved in the Revolution?
Well, no, because Holyoke did not exist yet. The Revolutionary War happened between 1775 to 1783. And during the course of that war, Holyoke was a district of Springfield and then of West Springfield. And it didn't exist as an entity until 1850. It was called the 3rd District, the Northern District, or Ireland Parish. So people didn't live in the boundaries of what would become Holyoke. And those men are honored in a low-key way within Holyoke. And so we'll talk about how it was involved. We'll also talk about what the war veterans are and how the deaths are honored. And maybe a few stories. And then we'll also we'll tell you further about how the men could be honored if possible. All right. Now, how are they honored? They're only honored by gravestones at this point. Most of the gravestones are in Elmwood Cemetery, which is Holyoke's oldest cemetery. And if you walk around there, it's very obvious, lots of veterans. There's also 2 war deaths, and I'll tell you about them. And they're from the same family. And if you wander around, you'll also see some definite war deaths because it tells you right in the stone, this person died due to the war. But if you read very, very carefully, it wasn't the American Revolutionary War. It was another war. It was the war of the British fighting the French. It was called the French and Indian Wars. Okay, so sure, there are some things around. Now, this is not the only cemetery. Also, the London family and others, including Elias Howe, are honored in the London Family Cemetery, or what's now called Rock Valley Cemetery. Also, in the northern part of Holyoke, at the Smiths Ferry Cemetery, there are many veterans from the Revolutionary War honored there. And they're very easy to find because they'll have metal plaques or flags next to their stone. And there's one only at the Forestdale Cemetery. So, there are ways they're honored, and maybe we'll figure out other ways to honor them.
And quickly, before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, you can check out any of his extra podcasts at his website, holyokecanaltour.org. And you can also email him directly for private tours or to inquire about anything else at bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And be sure to check out. Can you give us some stories of Holyoke and the Revolution?
Okay, I can. The Day family is buried in the Elmwood Cemetery, and 2 of the members of the Day family died during the course of the American Revolutionary War due to injuries or illnesses. Edward Day, an 18-year-old, was attacked outside the fort in Troy, New York, and he died due to the injuries of that attack. He is officially the only soldier from the Holyoke, Ireland Parish area that died during the course of the American Revolutionary War. His family has a stone in Elmwood Cemetery that's a beautiful brown stone and has 3 angels on it. And his mother and father at the top, Joel Day, his father, also was a member of the Revolutionary War militia. 5 brothers within the family also fought during the course of the war, including Joel Day, Jedediah Day, Eli Day, Robert Day, James. And these people, most of them survived the war, but Edward did not. Now, even a sadder story, the second person and last person that died during the American Revolutionary War from Ireland Parish was Robert Day. He was a young boy that was given food by his family and told to go find his brother in Troy, New York, near the fort Ticonderoga. He didn't quite make it there. He was attacked by Native Americans outside the fort and killed. He wasn't officially a soldier, but you could count him as one of the war deaths. He was only 12 years old. Right, so this is a very sad story. His body is probably in New York still. I doubt they brought him back to Holyoke, but his name is in Elmwood Park on one of the large stones there. All right, so these are very sad stories. There's many more stories. Their brother Luddingtons had gone off to war and survived it. The Smiths family had a father and 4 of his sons go off to the Revolutionary War, and they survived it. And so there's lots of soldiers from this area that went off to the war. As you know very well, the war did not affect Western Massachusetts directly. There's no battles here, but a lot of the men did go off to fight the wars.
Now, how can you further honor men that fought in the Revolution?
All right, you could honor them with a plaque that could be put into the War Memorial Building. All the men from Holyoke that died during the course of the war could be honored there. Of course, there's only 2 men, and that might be good enough. And remember that Holyoke was called Ireland Parish from about 1773 to 1850, but the men still fought for what would be Holyoke, and that is very important to know. And so Edward Day and Robert Day do belong on a plaque, and you have a great place to put it since you have a war memorial building inside of Holyoke. It would cost money, but it'd be well worth the effort to get that done.
And so thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours. And I want to thank our listeners again for tuning in. And you can tune into a large selection of our other podcasts and much more at his website. Again, that's holyokecanaltour.org. And you can email him directly for private tours or to inquire about anything else at bobcat4214, capital B, @yahoo.com.